Hey everyone, welcome to the Anarchy Podcast. 99% of traders will never make consistent profits. So why listen to the 99% of advice? On this show, we're going to challenge some of the most hallowed and repeated tenets of trading, and in doing so, set you up to succeed where others fail. Spoiler alert, we don't have a secret strategy or magic wand that will let you skip out on the hard work of learning the markets, but we can debunk viewpoints that are holding you back. If that sounds good to you, come join us. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Anarchy Day Trading Podcast. Hope you guys have had a great weekend. We're recording this on a Friday, but you'll be listening to it on a Monday or later. So hopefully you guys have an awesome trading week lined up. I heard an idea, a dilemma the other day on X that wasn't directly applied to trading, but the second I read it, like I often do, I immediately thought of how this strongly applies to trading, and I think a lot of you guys will find it really, really valuable.
Wait, you're telling me you read something that wasn't politically related on X this last week?
I know. Well, that's all I'm. My poor feed has been absolutely destroyed lately. I'm like, it's usually 50-50 trading and politics, and now it's like 90-10 politics and trading. So anyway, yeah, it's been absolutely dominated. I saw this. It wasn't trading, but it absolutely applies. And Jordan, I'm going to tell you about it, and because I think you'll find this really, really interesting. So it's called the Centipede's Dilemma. And while you might not have heard of the Centipede's Dilemma, you'll have definitely felt the effects. The Centipede's Dilemma is this. Ask a centipede which one of its 100 legs moves the fastest, and it forgets how to move. Reflecting on what we normally do without thought, ironically worsens performance. A culture of endless self-reflection, therapy, and navel-gazing is eroding important life skills. Now, that's not applied to trading. I didn't hear it from a trading platform, but holy crap, that applies to trading in a major, major way. Now, I know everyone has felt this. If the second you've tried any new, we talked about beginner's luck before, and beginner's luck is absolutely real, and it's real because of the Centipede's Dilemma, right? When you're first starting something, you kind of just feel, you're not really thinking too much about it, and then you start thinking about it, right? The first time you golf or you go bowling or something, you always perform better the second, third, or fourth time because of the Centipede's Dilemma. The centipede, you start thinking about each individual part, and that starts affecting you. And so I thought this was really, really useful to talk about, Jordan, because in trading, when we're talking about success in trading, it's feel-based. It's a feel-based game. And the second you start thinking too much about how you're performing and each individual part, you start actually missing the point.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. And I was reminded of this actually last week. Funny story. So I introduced my kids to paper trading and made the mistake of paper trading with them. And we went for like 8 for 8 on the morning. And my kids now think that they can generate millions of dollars without any work whatsoever. And I had to tell them, listen, guys, just because we earned $3,000 of paper money today, we could easily lose $6,000 of paper money tomorrow. But the funny thing is, like, you ask anybody who hasn't traded, and you just bring someone new in and you say, hey, which way is the market going to go? Honestly, they're going to be better than I want to bet that most of them would be better than 50% for the first time that they're just sitting down at a computer. As you said, like bowling, your best score in bowling is always going to be your first game, and then you will probably never reach that score for probably the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's really the funny thing about bowling is I haven't gone bowling in years, but I always remember we used to bowl.
Hey, we're getting together. We're getting together for Christmas. Bowling.
Let's do it because it's been a long time. But I always remember because we always bowl twice every time we go to bowling.
Yeah.
You essentially bowl twice because one
Two
game
games.
is pretty short, and so you bowl twice. Yeah, and the second game always. I don't think I've ever bowled the second game better than the first game ever. And you'd think that's the opposite, right? You think you bowl twice, by the end you'd be better, and it's just definitely not the case. You get worse because you're now starting the second game. You start thinking more about it. Anyway. the reason, one of the things reasons I think this applies is beyond what we've already spent a lot of time talking about. If any new listeners, we've talked a lot about in the past how trading is less like math and more like golf, right? It's more one of these feel-based games where you get better with just experience and developing feel, right? And so um, the whole point of trading is to get to the point where you don't have to think, right? Kind of wax on, wax off, Mr. Miyagi type stuff, where you can just develop a feel. But the real danger with anything based on feel is it's really easy to mess up your own head and to play games with yourself. Jordan, I just sent you a trade that I took
Yes.
the other day that was one of the ugliest trades I've ever taken in my entire life. It was really bad. And it's this is one of the dangers of anything that's based on feel is you can really play head games with yourself, right? You start the Centipede's dilemma. You start thinking a little too much about it. You get your head a little too far up your own butt, and you can make really stupid mistakes.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And I see myself do this all the time. Like honestly, as we mentioned on I think a couple weeks ago on our podcast, like I've been on a ridiculously hot streak, a ridiculous hot streak for the last 3, 4 months. And the fact is, all it took, and then one day, back 3 weeks ago, I just went on an absolute rampage, and I didn't even realize it. I went back and looked at my journal last week. Guess how many trades? Because my rules for trade has been three max up until recently. I'm now trading the 15 second, so I've increased that to about 6 trades because I'm trading on a really short time frame with relatively small risk. But guess how many trades I took that one day?
I don't know what
39.
oh my, whoa.
39. So, and I didn't even realize it. Like I went back and looked at my journal. I was like, there's no way. That has to be a computer glitch. I did not take 39 trades last week. And because I was looking at my stats, 39 trades. And that just shows how easy. Now, fortunately, I have a loss limit. I didn't hit my loss limit, right? Like I hit my loss limit, it was done, and then I quit. But the fact that I was just sitting there, just spinning trades, shows how easy. Like this is coming from someone who is, getting payouts, making money, trading well on a hot streak, and then just one day, it's like my brain went blank. And that was because, we talked about it. I was trying to win back. I was trying to, make trades, wheel and deal a little bit. And it was such a complete disaster that my brain didn't even realize I had taken 39 trades.
So yeah, it's absolutely wild. That's wild. Okay, so how given the centipede's dilemma, right? That overthinking can mess up your natural ability to just do. How do you avoid that? Like what's one of the main things that we can do, people listening can do to avoid thinking themselves into a problem or be losing their edge, right? You can
Yeah,
develop an edge and then start
lose
thinking
it.
about it, start over analyzing and lose it. What's the best ways to avoid that?
So I would say the number one thing is remembering that it is not about, winning at trading is not about how good you are or about how analytical you are or about how great your technical analysis is. It is about feel and just implicit learning. Like we've talked about this. So realizing that it doesn't matter how well you analyze the markets, that really has nothing to do. Let's be honest. This is a hot take, but it really has nothing to do with how you're going to be successful as a trader. Your technical trading analysis doesn't matter at the end of the day because let's be honest, there's lots of guys, essentially 99% of people on YouTube who can do great technical analysis, but guess what? I guarantee you they're not making money because it's not about the technical analysis. It's about this implicit learning. So once you realize that it's not about analyzing better, it's not about learning harder, trying harder. It's literally about just learning. It takes a lot of pressure off. Like Levi, like Levi and I will text back and forth if we have a bad day or we're down and drawdown, and we'll just text each other. It's like, hey man, remember, we're not trying to make money. We're trying to learn, right? Because if you learn, you get better, you'll make money, but that can't be your main focus. So if you're just focusing on just letting your brain learn and just learn. It removes a lot of pressure on you because no longer you're having to try harder or do better technical analysis or learn more techniques or add more indicators. It's just about letting your brain learn. I feel like that's a freeing realization.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if the centipede stops thinking about moving each individual leg and just walks, eventually it'll get better, right? Like when you're a child, you have to think about each individual leg, but you just do it enough, and eventually you don't have to think about each individual leg. The problem becomes if you're an adult and you start thinking about moving your legs, you get
Yeah.
worse at walking, right? And so I think you're absolutely right. Like it does take pressure off to just go, hey, it's just a matter of just developing it, right? You walk enough and eventually you don't have to think about it. Um, so it's very similar in trading. It
I
does
mean,
take a
to
lot of
add that,
pressure
it
off.
takes time. It takes time. Like Levi and
Right.
I
There's no
are,
shortcuts to this.
yeah, no, Levi and I are testaments to that. Honestly, and maybe this is a good time to give a small disclaimer or a confession. Levi and I always said it takes 2 years. Levi and I have revised that to be closer to 3 years, 3 to 4 years. Like we actually made a podcast about this, I think, a few weeks ago, where we mentioned about how 4 years takes, the market moves in 4 year cycles and takes 4 years to learn stuff. But Levi and I have seen in our own life, like we've made huge progress. But it's more of some people do shorter, but we're not, Levi, I think you agree. Like we're talking, it's a 3 to 4 year profit process to where you're making money. So understanding that it takes that long, I think also removes a lot of pressure. Stop, like we get emails from guys. It's like, I don't know what's happening. I've been doing this for 3 months. And I just laugh hilariously and go, dude, come back to me when you've been doing it for 3 years and we'll have a conversation, right? You don't expect to be good after 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, because you will get better, but you won't be good. And if you can have that realization, again, it takes the pressure off.